Well, hey now, good morning. We're back live. Lest anyone think I'm off. 3 weeks is way too long, and somehow I didn't get fired. I got away with that. But yes, okay, we're back. Although, how would you know we're back? This is pre-recorded. But rest assured, I am back. We are ready to get right back into work. We had such a good time with Christmas Eve, the holiday show that John wrote for us and that we spent so much time. You guys did a great job. That's on YouTube. If you missed it, if you don't know what we're talking about, that was our holiday show. Go back. It was a few weeks ago. And that was just such a pleasure working on. You guys did a great job. But holidays can't last forever, right? I hope we're grieving okay, that Christmas is gone, New Year's is gone, and resolutions are now in place, and I broke all of mine already, but that's okay. That's not about me. This is about moving forward with Film Scoring Monday. That's what we're doing today. So we have a special film today. I do want to say some of these classes were recorded in November, so please forgive, and if you're confused, you can reach out to me. Please forgive some of my, when I recorded this in November, it was around Veterans Day, so if there's any mix-up in some of the days and some of the due dates, just reach out to me. But mostly, today's Monday. We're going to see the film scoring results for this Friday. So there's a few times during this week when I say it's a short week, film scoring's on Thursday. That's not correct. This is just because I pre-recorded some of the classes before we went on break. It's just so I'm ahead, so I can be fresh for you guys. So today's Monday. Get the submission into me today. Tomorrow, Wednesday is fine too. We're going to see it on Friday. We're going to look at movie theater palaces this week, and then I'm going to switch into another set of clothes because you're going to see a class. A special movie that we're going to talk about today. So don't be so confused. I'm here. I'm back. I'm fresh. We got a lot of ideas to talk about. And today we're going to look at the very famous quirky romantic comedy, Punch Drunk Love. I said black comedy because we've talked a little bit about that term, about black comedy. When you don't know whether to laugh, cry, it's uncomfortable. The tone that the director sets and the script could be very funny, but not like that. It's like not laughing at death, or it has nothing to do with that. Sometimes very uncomfortable situations done in a very kind of subtle way. Wes Anderson does this a lot. There's other European filmmakers that do extremely black comedies that are not funny to anybody, maybe a select few, but this is a romantic comedy done in a very dark way. And it also includes one of the funniest guys ever, and this was one of his first serious roles, Adam Sandler. Okay, so the director we're talking about is Paul Thomas Anderson, and we scored Phantom Thread about a year ago. That very unusual movie set, in Europe in the 50s. Johnny Greenwood score. That was a beautiful, where he's, the lead actor is just kind of shaving and getting ready for the day. He's a dressmaker, right? And so, seamstress. That's Daniel Day-Lewis. So we scored that opening scene. So we know Paul Thomas Anderson. He made his huge break with Magnolia that came out. He just did Licorice Pizza very recently. He's an auteur. He writes, directs. He has his own style. Married to Maya Rudolph. And this is something he wrote and direct, and this comes out in 2002. American movie, and he wrote this specifically for Adam Sandler when Adam Sandler was just known kind of as a comedian, silly, Billy, Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison and all that kind of stuff, which was a lot of fun. He wrote it for him specifically, and for Emily Watson, who's this lovely, great English actress. So Johnny Greenwood did the music to Phantom Thread. Not in this movie. This is by John Bryan. We've done John Bryan before, but we'll talk about that. Let's just back up. Punch Drunk Love. What is? Punch Drunk kind of refers to boxing. It means a blow to the head. When you're punch drunk, you're kind of drunk, but you're also out of it. But it goes back to boxing. Kind of feeling a dopey feeling somewhere, where somebody's taking a lot of blows to the head. Also, Radiohead did a song that in 1995, so maybe PTA. People call Paul Thomas Anderson PTA. Maybe he was a little bit influenced by that title, but it's a really good title because he's dopey with love, though. So because it's a romantic film, although if you were to look at it, there's some very dark, sinister things that go on in this movie where it's uncomfortable. It's not a rom-com, with Julia Roberts. He's using this as, let's see if we can make a romantic, loving, sweet comedy with some very twists and turns where you don't know when to laugh, you don't know when to cry, and again, but music gives us the tone that it's a quirky romantic comedy. So budget's $25 million. It doesn't even make that much back, about $24 million. But people still talk about the movie. People still love it. Judd Apatow, it's one of his favorite movies. The plot follows Adam Sandler. He's Barry Egan. He wears this blue suit, and he works like all PTA movies. It's all in the Valley. Nothing glamorous about that. He'd go on to do, Boogie Nights is one of his big movies too, and most of his movies revolve around San Fernando Valley, where he grew up. But Barry Egan is Adam Sandler is very timid and shy, and has a lot of aggression, mostly because all of his sisters. He's got 7 sisters. He lives a lonely life, working in this kind of, selling these toilet, manufacturing industrial life, selling these little things that break all the time.
Let me demonstrate for you. Okay, this was one of the old ones. So do we have a new one around, Lance?
And his sisters drive him nuts. They are relentless to him. So they call him at work all the time. They, are very forceful about having him go to this party. They want to set him up.
You going to the party tonight?
Yes, I am.
What are you doing?
Just working.
Yeah, but what are you doing?
Talking on the phone to you. I'm standing.
What time are you going to be there?
7.
You can't be late.
I won't.
I'm serious.
I won't.
Seriously.
I know.
You can't be late.
I know.
You can't just not show up like you do. You have to go. Seriously.
Okay.
You can't just stay in your house.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm serious.
One of his sisters does. She works with Emily Watson's character and says, okay, maybe we need to get Barry set up with somebody. So maybe our friend Lena can do that. So throughout this, look, he's not that interested. He's extremely shy and awkward.
There's this girl, this friend of mine from work, who I think is really cute and really cool, and I want you to meet her. So I was thinking about bringing her to the party tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
So during this, because of Barry's loneliness, this is just kind of a brief plot run, he calls a phone sex hotline, and actually it turns into this extortion plot. They steal his credit card information, they blackmail him, extort him to say, if you don't pay us money, we're going to ruin your life. And this happens right in the moment when he falls in love with Lena, when they're kind of falling in love together, and he's not sure. So he has this lonely, miserable life, calls a phone sex person. They start calling him at home, calling him at work, really freaking him out. And he doesn't know what to do because he's kind of into this new girl because he thinks nobody likes him. And Lena is actually very sweet and likes him a lot, even though his sisters have no idea why anyone would like him, even though it's their brother.
I mean, you wouldn't want to go out with him anyway, honestly. He's such a freak sometimes.
Yeah, he did seem a little strange.
Well, he's not that strange. Don't say that.
So already, do you see that it's kind of a black comedy? It's not a traditional, lovely workplace environment where everything is kind of, there's some dark moments. So he has to sort of defend himself and Lena and protect her because they fall in love together. And when I say these things, he realizes that this part of this was based on a true story of this marketing campaign of these puddings. And he realizes if he gets the chocolate pudding, each of them are barcoded, and not to get too detailed, he finds a way to cheat the system, the bad advertising, to get frequent flyer miles for the rest of his life. And this actually happened. So because of that, and Lena travels all the time for work, he's able to meet her. And so when they're kind of hitting it off, she's like, I'm gonna go to Hawaii and maybe we can meet when I get back. And again, he's awkward. He's never had a girlfriend. He doesn't know how to function here. This is, you know, it's, and you feel very sorry for him. There's this harmonium that he picks up that somebody drops off. So there's symbolism in this movie, and he doesn't know what to do with it. So he brings it inside and he starts kind of playing it. And while he's playing it, we're hearing a melody that we're going to hear and that we talked about a few weeks ago. When he decides he has enough mileage to meet her in Hawaii, and so he surprises her. Little romantic surprises. Just look at this scene. He goes to Hawaii. His sisters don't know he's going there. He's calling. He wants to meet her. And this little light turns on in the phone booth. These are little examples I'm just going to show you to show that it is actually very, not corny and romantic, but a little bit. But listen to when she picks up the phone.
Hello?
Lena. Hi, this is Barry Egan. Yeah. I didn't hear you.
I just want to know what you're doing,
I'm just calling you. I'm standing in my hotel room.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm here on my business trip.
Let's do something. Do you want to do something?
Yeah, you don't have a boyfriend or anything, do you?
Yeah.
Again, the music and the tone is very nice, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Later, they hold hands in the hallway because he's falling in love with her. This little clip happens, and this is very charming. So one of these things is, how do you make a dark black comedy that has violence in it? And because there's some very scary scenes when the sex people worker extortionists come to his house, they threaten him. It's very, very scary. It's very realistic. How do you make that? And he's also this kind of complex, kind of depressive person. How do you make a quirky romantic comedy do that? And you do it with music. Also, there's some jokes. There's some very, funny little things that laugh out loud again. But how do you do that? You do that with the music, I think. And John Bryan, we've talked about John Bryan. He does this so well. This is my favorite score of John Bryan. He composed the music actually while filming was taking place, experimenting with different sounds, being on the set, talking to PTA. We know John Bryan. He did Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind in 2004, just a few years after this movie, where you guys scored that opening scene of Jim Carrey waking up in the bed. One thing that John Bryan's going to do with this is use He Needs Me from Popeye. Okay, we talked about Popeye a few weeks ago with Shelley Duvall singing. And instead of redoing that song, they actually used Shelley Duvall's voice in it. This scene in particular is one of my favorite montages of this song being used. And it's such a weird song to be used. And I mentioned a few weeks ago, I had no idea. I forgot about this song until in the theater when I was 17 years old, I went to go see Punch Drunk Love. And I said, whoa, oh my gosh, I forgot about this song that I used to watch. It was Popeye, from Popeye as a kid. Why and how did he do this? So, this is a scene where Barry is being hounded by his employees, hounded by these extortionists, and he realizes he's going to go to Hawaii. And so this is, and then we start hearing He Needs Me.
And all at once I knew at once, I knew he
All right.
needed me.
The pudding's gonna take 6 to 8 weeks to process, so that's not gonna work today.
Until
I'll take a
the
bath
day
on that
I
today.
die, I wanna want
But here's what I'm gonna tell you. Now, the pudding. Oh! You okay? We'll get to the pudding later. Yeah. I'm gonna go now. Okay. I'll call you from there. Yeah. You're running the place until I get back. No doubt. Don't tell my sisters anything, okay?
He needs me, he needs me, he needs me. Da 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 dum. Da 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 da. It's like a diamond dance all I'll take a chance, I will, because he needs me. No one ever asked before, because they never needed me.
It goes a little longer than that, but I just wanted to play a little bit. And this all builds up to one of the most romantic scenes and this is after the little light comes on in the telephone, because they're gonna meet finally in Hawaii, and he's away from work, he's away from his sisters. He is so he's at his wit's end. He's so scared. He's really likes Lena. She's very sweet to him. And this scene, when they meet up in Hawaii, one of the most romantic scenes in all of cinema. So you see that little heart between them, right? He is a broken boy. He's this broken person, and she's gonna be there to save him. I mean, she understands that he's a little off, but he's sweet and means well, and just having 7 sisters has kind of traumatized him in a way. That He Needs Me works so well, and John Bryan's gonna use this in the original score of some of the themes. So John Bryan doesn't orchestrate this. Thomas Pasatieri, American, he's kind of an opera composer, known for opera, but did a lot of arrangements. Studied with Nadia Boulanger, greatest teacher of the 20th century in music, and then went to Juilliard, so very classically trained, but did the orchestration for tons of movies, including Dick Tracy that we scored. So I'm giving him credit because the arrangements to this are so lovely and simple. And it's a waltz. A lot of the themes are just, like this. It's lovely how it moves. This is a scene where he says goodbye to her after their first date. Then he realizes he messed up. He should have kissed her. And again, not a romantic setting either. So all of these things don't say romantic comedy. How is this a romantic comedy? And so he realizes, okay, I gotta run back and I gotta kiss her. And this is one of the main themes when they embrace and kiss when he runs back to her. Reminds us a little of Amarcord. We talked about Fellini just last week. Amarcord was a movie that maybe we've talked about, but Nino Rota scored, and just see if you hear a little similarity there. Strings, right? Very beautiful, luscious strings. I mean, we've talked about Mancini's strings, lush strings, Mancini and David Rose. So this is John Bryan going back to an old Hollywood sound, old, Broadway-ish, but the old soundtracks of the golden age of Hollywood. The sounds of David Rose, of Henry Mancini. Just a few weeks ago that we did this kind of not loungy, big, beautiful string sounds. John Bryan's doing that. This is almost an ode to old Hollywood, even though it's a contemporary urban, or suburban, because it's the San Fernando freaking Valley. So the scene we're going to look at is not, and I never do this, but I want to show you the scene without any music. This is after their first date, and he actually gets thrown out of the restaurant because she asked him about his sisters and all that stuff, just because she's trying to get to know him. This is their first date. He goes to the bathroom to beat up the bathroom because, like I said, he suffers from mental issues, a lot of anger issues. I mean, in fact, he tries to see his doctor, one of his brother-in-laws. He tries to get help from him, but it doesn't go well.
Can you help me?
Mary, I'm a dentist. What kind of help do you think I can give you?
Okay, so they leave the restaurant because they find out that he destroyed the restroom. So on their way out, they're just going to be walking back to the car. Let's just see the scene and see how mundane this is until, and we'll see it with the score. So here's the scene with all the music taken out. You're probably saying that's the most mundane, boring scene. Great. Okay. Yeah. Filmed well. Nice. There's some. Okay. So they're walking back to their car. How romantic and great could that be? I never do this, but I thought just to show as an extra example, I'm going to show you with. I'm gonna rescore it in the wrong way. Okay. So let me show you how the whole tone of the movie could sound with the wrong score. All of a sudden, it's a thriller. It's a scary movie. He's weird. He could go back and kill her. This is not the tone. If John Bryan gave this to PTA, he'd say, no, we're not making a horror thriller movie. But do you see? It's the same exact scene. So this is me doing not a good job. So now you're probably wondering, well, what is the music that's used there? So let's take a look at the scene a third time with the score. Now it's romantic. Now it's more, it has, now you see it. We've seen it 3 times now. Obviously this is the time where it comes to life and it's intensely romantic all of a sudden. How is that possible? Just with changing the music, it made it into this very lovely, quirky, romantic. They're on a date, and it's very sweet now. And you see them kind of, their expressions are not saying anything, but you see them falling in love slowly with this beautiful, string waltz that's going on. That's magic. That's magic happening. Without that music, it would just be a weird scene of them walking back awkwardly. But the director is like, let's film that scene, and then we're going to put something really nice to it. And this is reoccurring. This is just a scene I thought of, what's a mundane scene that actually the director and the composer said, we're gonna this is the beginning of their romance. So this tells the audience, oh, okay, we're not in it's not a horror thriller type movie. It's nothing like that. This is a movie of two people falling in love. It's the oldest story of time, but something that never gets old. So come up with something that's very romantic for this scene of them just in the valley walking back to their car, but make the viewers, make it romantic, make us fall in love with these characters that are falling in love in reality. So it could be quirky romantic, something like that. Quirky romantic music. This isn't rap, this isn't electronic music, this isn't heavy, this isn't big orchestral, this isn't polka, it's not funny. It can be humorous, but there's a difference between, circus-like humor. I mean, we looked at Take the Money and Run. That was funny because the joke was that he didn't have his pants on the whole time. And that was Dixieland. Dixieland music would not work. There's a lot of things that would not work. So find that, and I don't know what it could be, but find the music that's going to make it a romantic piece of this stroll. They're just strolling back to their car after a very awkward date. And when they get in the car, they start laughing and everything is okay about it, But this is hard. This is a hard thing to do. But, you guys are all romantics, all artists. Most artists are romantics in some sense. So this is a real pleasure sharing Punch Drunk Love. Just, I'm sorry it's a little bit longer of a class because some of these scenes I really wanted to share with you to get the humor, to get the music, to get the feel. I think it's a masterpiece in filmmaking and also the music too. Okay, so get it into me by tomorrow. Love you. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of the day. And that's it. See you tomorrow. Okay. Bye.